Hey everyone, it's Chris Nelson with your weekly fishing report. Today is Thursday, September the 20th. Current lake level is at 863. We're still down about 3-4 feet. All the rain we've got in the past few weeks, the ground just absorbed it. We didn't see a lot of runoff come in. Got a little stain in the water for a week, but not necessarily stain, but had a little color in the water for about a week. It's cleared up again. Current water temperature starting out about 78 to 89, so a big jump from last week. We had that week of overcast, cool conditions, and it's really warmed up, as we all know. Water clarity is clear, not much stain to it, so on those clear bluebird skies, stay back away from your fish, because you get too tight in on them, they're going to get skittish on you. We're going to start out today talking about largemouth. Largemouth are still deep. We had that cool weather. Some of them started roaming around a little bit. We got to thinking maybe they might move back into the creeks, getting set up for that, but that didn't happen for us, which I'm good with. I'd like them to stay as stable as they can for as long as they can. The deep brush pile bite's still the way to go. 15 to 25 feet on the brush piles throughout the entire lake. There's not one section of the lake that I could say was fishing better than another section. It's just a matter of running pile after pile after pile to get your bites. Conserve your time. If you're a tournament fisherman, I mean, set your timer and say, I'm only going to spend X amount of time on this pile, because you're likely going to get that bite within, your first 5 or 10 casts. So don't get caught up thinking that there's a bunch of fish there, because even if they are there and they don't bite, they're inactive fish. So don't waste your time. You can come back, try it again, but keep moving, and that's when you start calling for ounces or pounds instead of ounces. Go-to baits for brush piles: the Jack KP Power Finesse jig is my #1 go-to jig. Doesn't matter if you're fishing brush piles or you're flipping laydowns or whatever you're fishing. If you're fishing shallow, you're fishing deep in heavy cover, it's got a big hook on it, and you can throw it with heavy line and get the fish out. Peanut butter and jelly is my favorite color. I pair that up with green pumpkin 4-inch chigger crawl, and that's pretty much my go-to. I'll put Chomper's twin tail grub in a green pumpkin off of that as well. The other brush pile bait, and I'm throwing these on main lake points with channel swings as well, not just brush piles, but main lake points with channel swings. My other go-to bait right now is the 10-inch Berkeley power worm in a plum or a green pumpkin color, and really it's whatever you have confidence in, whether it be tequila sunrise or red shad or whatever, in a 10-inch worm. It doesn't have to be a power worm. It can be any bigger profile worm. Pairing that up with a 1/2 ounce Jack tungsten, and I always peg my tungsten, especially around the brush. That way you can work through the brush, not worry about your weight falling over one side and a fish taking it on the other side. As I've said in the weeks past, pegging that weight will help you land a fish if it gets in deep cover, and help you pull it out of there. I'm always throwing anything that I'm going to throw in a brush pile. I'm using a Lew's 7.3 Magnum hammer with 17 to 20 pound fluorocarbon, and you don't want to go any less than that. I've been using Vicious this year, been really happy with the product for the price point it's at. That'll about wrap it up for the largemouth. Wait, hang on. I said wrap it up, but I lied to you. The other bait that has been good, and I've talked about it in the weeks past, is the 5XD, or even just the Series 5. When you've got current or overcast or wind current conditions, meaning that the wind's blowing past or into that point, if it's blowing past, you're getting some current, you're getting bait pushing across it. If it's blowing into it, you're getting bait blowing into the point and getting pegged up against it. And if you've got a channel swing and those fish are setting up there waiting to ambush, some of them will be on top and some of them will be just over the ledge. And if you run that crankbait across that point and pull it over that ledge, they're sitting there, they might be 5, 10, 15 feet down, but when that bait comes over, they're sitting there waiting to ambush it in the right conditions. If it's clear bluebird skies, no wind, don't waste your time picking this up. Early in the morning, first light, if you want to cover a little bit of water, the Whopper Plopper 75 has definitely been my go-to bait. It's got a little bit more weight, a little bit more sound, but where I'm finding the fish on this is in brush piles that are just out of the water in 8, 10, 12, 15 feet of water, where they're not too shallow and they're just sticking up out of the water enough. And maybe you know there's some other brush around there, so you know there's fish living around there. They might not be there throughout the whole day, but they're coming in low light conditions, early morning, late evening, in overcast conditions, and throwing this right around that brush as close to you as you can get to whatever's sticking out, and wherever you know there's brush underwater. We've had multiple fish, 2 to 3 pounds, nothing giant, but it's a good way to put a couple extra fish in your box early and fish a little bit faster. Going to move on to crappie. I'd like to highlight this week, since it just got released to be able to buy, and it's the Jack jig heads. They've got them in 16th, 8th, I think 16th, 8th for sure. I'm not sure if they have a 32nd yet, but they've got them in lead color, pink, chartreuse, and possibly white. I'm not 100% on all the colors yet. It's a new product, but it's a game changer when you're using jigs. It's got the screw lock on there, and it's really saved me a lot of baits. The first one I tied on, I think I still have the same jig head and the same bait on there, and I'm sure it's a slim stick. The baits I've been using on that jig head are the bonehead brush gliders, as well as the bleeding shiner slim stick. And one thing that I found with a crappie, low light conditions, so if you get started early in the morning, say about 6:30, before it gets real light, those crappie have been suspended out around the brush, and this brush glider with a 16th ounce jig head falls really slow, and they've not been just thumping it really hard. You've got to watch your line go slack, or it just stops falling, and you may think you're on the bottom and you start to reel up and there's just a little bit of weight there, and you're not sure if you got brush or you got a fish, but it's usually a fish. Been doing really well with the brush gliders, which this is the first opportunity I've had to really play with them. The slim sticks are still fishing good. Still throughout the day, after the fish get tucked back into the brush, or the trees, or wherever they're living at, my go-to is 16th ounce just lead head with a super small hook on it. chin hooking the shiner right, go through the chin and come out the nose, not too far back. If you get back between the eyes, you're in its brain and they're not gonna live very long. But if you just nose hook them, drop them straight down through the brush all the way to the bottom, those fish have been anywhere from one crank off the bottom all the way up to 6 cranks in the middle of the day when you got clear bluebird skies, and they've just been bump. Just, it's a real light bite. They're not super aggressive, but that's how we've been consistently able to bring limits of crappie with all of our customers for the past, I don't remember the last time we haven't come in with a limit. We've done it all summer, 2-3 months of consistently doing it, and our fallback is that 16th ounce lead head with a small hook dropping down in the brush with a shiner. Another key to that type of fishing is the Mr. Crappie high vis line. The high vis line, on top of being a super strong line, from a guiding perspective and even from a fishing perspective, I can watch other people's lines and I can watch my own line, and I got a pretty good idea when that thing should stop falling, and when a fish has got the bait in its mouth. And the reason I can see that, as you can see, this is about as bright as green as you can get, chartreuse, whatever you want to call it. But it makes a big difference when they're hitting like they are, and they're hitting on the fall, or they're just slightly loading up on it, and you can just see the line go tight. That high vis line is going to help you put a lot more fish in the boat if you'll watch your line and not wait to feel the thump, because that thump's not been there for us. Walleye. We're going to go into walleye. I've been using a Jinko product. It's called a Big T slasher jig head, and it's got a light wire sickle hook on it, along with, if you can see right here, a wire keeper, and it's similar to a VMC Moon Eye, is what they call it. I think there's several Moon Eye jigs out on the market. This is an 1/8 ounce, and the reason I like this hook so well is that wire keeper and that light wire hook. Even if the walleye don't get your jig very well, especially in a customer, a guide client situation, that hook is sharp enough. It takes next to nothing to just penetrate the skin, and you know it'll get in their mouth good. But that light wire, even if they don't feel the bite and that walleye picks it up, there's a good chance they're going to catch it. The other thing, that wire keeper is going to keep that night crawler held in place, and you're not going to go through so many night crawlers. I'm using this hook right here, this jig head right here, with half a night crawler, and I'm making sure when I get it up there, I want it to lay out as flat as possible. You can see it's got a little bend right there. I'll take that worm out about total length about 3/4 of an inch, using the tail section, and I'll push down on the wire keeper, and that'll hold that night crawler from sliding back when you cast, or somebody sets the hook, or somebody pops it off a rock. And that's what we've been using for walleye right now, and I would say it's definitely the best thing to fish. You could try running bottom bouncers and catch some short fish and stumble across a few, but those walleye have really started to set up on main lake points. They're in that 15 to 24 foot range. If you got overcast conditions, you can find those walleye even shallower, 12 to 15 feet, and bluebird clear skies. You're going to have to slow your presentation down and work that 18 to up to 24 foot water column off the main lake points, whether it be off one side, the tip, or the other side of the point. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Stockton Lake Weekly Fishing Report. Hope you got everything you wanted out of it. If not, feel free to leave a comment. If there's anything that you can think of we can add, we can do to be more helpful to you, we'd be glad to do that. Thank you for tuning in this week, and can't wait to see you next week. Have a good day.